I'll be the host for this session. First up, we have CA Vitang Shah, who is the Honorary Joint Secretary of the Chamber of Tax Consultants, and he will be giving an overview of the CTC, which is a non-for-profit organization, which, amongst other things, has a lot of events. And I would really request everybody to listen in and participate in CTC events also. So over to you, Vitan.
Thank you, Ananya. Advocate and Solicitor Shri Sharad Abhyankar ji, Advocate and Solicitor Shri Nilesh Modi sir, Ms. Shivani Srivastava, Counsel at Bombay High Court, Chairperson of the Student Committee Niyati Mankad, and other co-committee members of the Student Committee, the members attending the 6th episode of UDAAN, a very good evening. For the benefit of all who are new to the Chamber, let me very briefly introduce you about the Chamber. The Chamber of Tax Consultants, established in 1926, is a 98-year young non-profit organization with its core objective of professional development of its members. The members are spread across the accounting, tax, and legal profession. It has a member strength of around 4,000 professionals, comprising of CAs, advocates, company secretaries, cost accountants, tax consultants, and of course the students as its members. It has Bombay and Delhi as its chapters and has study groups in Pune, Bangalore, and Hyderabad. Its day-to-day functioning is undertaken by various subject-based committees such as the Direct Tax Committee, the Indirect Tax Committee, International Tax Committee, the Journal Committee, the RRC Committee, and of course the Students Committee. We have also topical-based study circles like FEMA Study Circle, the Direct Tax Study Circle, the Indirect Tax Study Circle, etc. Annually, the Chamber organizes at least 3 RRCs, which are the marquee events which all members look forward to participate. The Chamber also releases its monthly topical-based informative journal, which is named as the Chamber's Journal. The journal has been acknowledged as a unique offering by many professionals. For the benefit of students, the Chamber has the Students Committee, which organizes events, especially catering to the needs of the students. Topics which on-ground students, article students may want to attend and which will be of help for them in performing their duties and for their professional development. The motto of the Student Committee is learning today and leading tomorrow. So I request everyone to please connect with the Chamber if you have not yet so. I must also at the start appreciate the efforts which have been put in by the Student Committee in organizing the 6th episode of the UDAAN. I'm sure this episode will help a lot of students with answers and insights relating to the solicitorship in India and in UK. I welcome the speakers and the guests for today's episode on behalf of the Chamber. A very warm welcome. With this, I pass it on back to you, Ananya. Ananya, you are on mute.
Thank you so much, Vitang, and thank you for giving us an overview of the Chamber's activities. And also, as Vitang said, Chamber actually gives a platform for learning, and it actually gives everybody a platform to kind of further their career goals also. So do get in touch with the Chambers. Now, I would like to introduce Niyati, who is the chairperson of the Student Committee, for her opening remarks. Over to you, Niyati.
Thank you, Ananya. A very warm welcome to all of you to the 6th episode of UDAAN, a series that has become a beacon of inspiration and guidance for students navigating the intricate world of law, taxation, accountancy, and multitude of related fields. I'm honored to stand before you as the chairperson of the Student Committee of the Chamber of Tax Consultants, an organization dedicated to fostering excellence and innovation across diverse domains. Before we delve into the enriching topic of dual perspective solicitorship in India and UK plus barrister insights, I must acknowledge the visionary behind this initiative, Ms. Varsha Galvankar, our enthusiastic past chairperson and mentor. Her dedication has paved the way for these episodes that seek to illuminate the paths of success for aspiring legal and accounting professionals. Today's webinar isn't just another informative session. It's a gateway to understanding the nuanced world of legal practice from a global perspective. In a landscape where numerous students graduate annually in the legal field, it's imperative to carve a niche. Pursuing this qualification, that is solicitorship, doesn't just set one apart. It crafts a robust foundation, blending practical experience through articleship and theoretical knowledge, fostering holistic development. The esteemed speakers, through their journeys and insights, will unravel the mysteries and intricacies of the legal practice in India and the UK. Their experiences will be a guiding light for all of us, offering invaluable insights that transcends textbooks and classrooms. On another note, I'm thrilled to announce the 7th Dastur National Debate Competition in association with the HR College of Commerce and Economics. It's an exceptional platform for budding minds pursuing law, CA, CS, and other related disciplines. The registration deadline is 15 January 2024, and it's an opportunity not just for colleges, but also for firms or individual teams to participate. Please visit the CTC website for comprehensive details. Remember, registrations are on a first come, first serve basis, accommodating a maximum of 32 teams. Keep your eagerness alive for the upcoming Dastur Essay competition and an exciting industrial visit. These avenues serve as not just opportunities, but gateways to honing your skills and gaining practical insights into the dynamics of the realms of accountancy, audit, company secretarial work, company law, civil and commercial law, and many more. Thank you, and let's embark on this enlightening journey together. Over to you, Ananya.
Thank you, Niyati, and thank you for giving an overview of the sessions. So before I hand it over to the speakers, I would like to share that this session is going to address a lot of your queries with respect to solicitorship, in India and UK. There is still time, so please ask your friends to also attend the sessions. And the flow of the session will be this. First, Mr. Nilesh Modi, who is the Secretary of Bombay Incorporated Law Society, will give an overview of what is the role of Bombay Incorporated Law Society, especially in a time when the Advocates Act only has a single class of legal practitioners recognized. Secondly, we have Mr. Sharad Abhyankar, who will talk about his professional journey as a solicitor and as a senior partner of Khaitan and Company, which is a top tier law firm. Then we have Shivani, who will talk about the dual perspectives about qualifying in the UK. And Shivani has a very interesting crown on her head. She's been admitted to the bar in the UK, and we'll get to know more about that from Shivani. So over to you, Akash, for introducing our first speaker.
Hello everyone, myself Akash Shirore. I am member of the student committee and it's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Nilesh sir. So Mr. Nilesh Modi sir has graduated in law from Government Law College, Mumbai and was enrolled as an advocate in 1988. He passed the solicitor's exam in 1989 and became a member of the Bombay Incorporated Law Society since then. He has been practicing as an advocate and solicitor. Mr. Nilesh Modi is third generation solicitor and partner in the law firm Rustamji and Jinwala. He has a wide practice areas of civil litigation, real estate law, testamentary law, arbitration, mediation, corporate law, and many other matters. He is empaneled as an arbitrator and mediator with the Bombay High Court and is appointed in many matters as an arbitrator and mediator by the court. He has been managing committee member of the Bombay Incorporated Law Society since last 10 years and has been its honorable secretary for last 7 years. He is also trustee member of the governing body of many charitable institutions and NGOs. Thank you. Over to you, Mr. Nilesh sir.
Hi everyone, good evening. And I must first, before I begin, thank the Chamber of Tax Consultants for inviting us to speak today and give a view about what is and how you become a solicitor, what is the Bombay Incorporated Law Society, and so that you as students or whoever is interested will have an idea of what is actually to be a solicitor. So thank you for inviting us. It's a good platform for us to give this introduction. And we do hope that in future also we can collaborate and give more talks, and also that more and more people will join us in this. So I will just give you a brief background first, that how the solicitors practice came. The solicitors practice is also still prevalent in the UK till now. So there is dual practice. One is the solicitor who prepares everything backhand in the office, and there are barristers and counsels who argue in court. We call them counsels. In England, they call them barristers. And my co-speaker is one of the barristers there, who's now been admitted at the bar. So with this, I have a small presentation which will explain you. So with the establishments of the courts by the British in India, and they were the ones who framed laws for us earlier, they also brought into India the practice of what was in England, that is the solicitors and the counsels. The Bombay Incorporated Law Society, which is the body of solicitors in India, was formed on 15 December 1894 by 33 attorneys, now referred to as solicitors. Can we change the slide, please? No, I think you jumped. Ah. So a license was granted by the Governor of Bombay in Council, following which the Bombay Incorporated Law Society was registered as a society with limited liability. So it's a company, and it's a Section 25 company. It's not a society or an association, but a Section 25 company. And its object basically is to protect the profession of solicitors. So it has recently in 2019 celebrated its 125th anniversary, and we also had one more celebration just last week on 15 December. The members of BILS are all solicitors who have appeared and cleared their solicitors examination, which is conducted by the Bombay Incorporated Law Society. So those who pass solicitors maybe in UK or others are not members here. To be a member of the Bombay Incorporated Law Society, you have to pass the exam, which is conducted by our society. We are the only society at present who conduct the examination in India. Earlier, Calcutta used to conduct, but now I am told that they don't conduct the exam any further. So for anyone who wants to be a solicitor, will have to qualify from us. Next, please. What are the objects of our society? The objectives of BILS are listed in its memorandum of association, some of which are like this: supporting and protecting the character, status, and interests of the solicitors in the legal profession. So it's a body of solicitors, so therefore we do look into the interests of the solicitors, the practice of solicitors. If they have any difficulty in their practice, if there are issues arising, we take it up with the High Court, the Supreme Court, the government. So we look after the interests of the solicitors as a whole. Encouraging intensive and specialized study of law and providing practical training and experience to hold and conduct tests and or examinations to stipulate and provide for the qualifications. To prepare a person to practice law with confidence and find sorry. Yeah. So these in furtherance of the objects of encouraging intensive study of law and practical training, we conduct these exams twice a year. And that's mainly some March, April, and October, November. These exams are held every 6 monthly. The subjects are wide. The idea of having so many subjects is to prepare this person in such a way that when he faces the world, when he faces his clients, he should be in a position to find solutions for his clients' problems. He has not to look anywhere else. He should be able to know what are the laws that he's practicing, what are the issues that will come up, which are the laws which will be applicable, what will be their answers. So in this, we have a very wide range of subjects covered. There are 6 papers in all, which has to be given. The first paper is the CPC, Civil Procedure Code, which is done in law also, but there is a more intense study of CPC. With that, there is Bombay High Court rules, because most of the solicitors practice in Bombay because they pass from Bombay. So Bombay High Court rules is a part of that. Commercial Courts Act, which is now new act which has been brought in, constitution law, and then how to draft pleadings, how to draw a plain, how to draw a written statement, and all those. That is covered. The second subject is the company law, which includes Companies Acts, rules, insolvency and bankruptcy code. Then there is corporate law, which includes SEBI Act, SEBI regulations, Competition Act, and even some relevant portions of the Income Tax Act, which deal with the practice of law, which deal with the practice of conveyancing. All those income tax provisions are covered in our syllabus. So you have an idea of what is an Income Tax Act also. Main provisions are all covered. Next, please. Then the fourth paper is conveyancing. This is basically a practical subject where you are taught how to draft documents, various type of documents. In this, Transfer of Property Act is covered, RERA is covered, MOFA is covered. MOFA is the Maharashtra Ownership Flats Act. Registration Act is covered, Stamp Act is covered, Indian Succession Act is covered. Why? Because there are wills, how to draft wills, codicils. So Indian Succession Act is covered. And during your process in the articles, you are taught by your master how to draft various documents, how to draft power of attorneys, wills, and several other deeds and documents. That are then also forms part of your paper in conveyancing. Then there is commercial laws, which includes Indian Contract Act, Indian Partnership Act, the LLP Act, Negotiable Instruments Act, Sale of Goods Act. Then the last paper is General Acts, which has several acts. Little part of it is asked, but you have to prepare in all these acts. So there's Arbitration Act, the Indian Trust Act, Public Trust Act, Prevention of Money Laundering Act, Rent Act, Limitation Act. There are various other acts involved, and there is also rules of professional conduct and etiquette, which you have to learn. The paper covers a vast variety of acts so that you are at least aware of so many acts which are prevailing in India, and so that you can, when you practice, you know this. All this is not taught in law, but this is taught to you, and then you have knowledge of this when you become a solicitor. Next slide, please. So a candidate who must have a depth knowledge of each subject and the relevant case laws, it requires preparation and is an intensive examination. Passing percentage is 60% in aggregate, with a minimum of 50 marks out of 100 marks in each paper. Each paper is vetted by a sitting judge of the Bombay High Court. There is always a presiding judge of the Bombay High Court. All the papers are set by solicitors, corrected by them. It is an honorary service which they give. They do not charge anything for this. Other than the examiner, no other person is informed about the process. They don't know who is the examiner, who is the paper setter, nothing. It's only the examiner in charge who is aware of this. It's kept as a secret. So it's a very secretive process of holding exams. No other solicitor, nobody else knows. Even the examiners keep it as a secret. Next, please. So who is eligible to sit for this exam? So candidate is required to sign articles with a solicitor. So if you have to give this exam, first you have to sign articles of clerkship with, find a solicitor, sign an article, he will be your master. He will be your guru. He will be teaching you everything. Students can sign articles after completing their third year exam in the 5-year course or their first year exam in the 3-year course. The period of articles is 3 years. Students who have cleared their final year LLB exam, therefore within that 3 years, obviously you are supposed to pass your LLB exam. You are supposed to pass LLB and also give your now that exam for being admitted as an advocate. You are then eligible to appear for the solicitor's exam at the completion of the period of your articles. On passing the examination, each student is then entitled to qualify himself and term himself or call himself as a solicitor. Next, please. The article clerk, what are the advantages now? Let's talk about what are the advantages. Why should we do solicitors? Like they mentioned to you that the Advocates Act has abolished the practice of solicitors. That is correct. In 76, 77, practice of solicitors was abolished by the government. They said all advocates, solicitors are same. We agree. We are first advocates, then solicitors. But we have a one niche above. We are one niche above the advocates. Why? Why? The article clerk during the period of their clerkship would be working with an experienced solicitor, so they would get a vast variety of experiences and opportunities. The article clerk would be exposed to different matters, both litigation and non-litigation, depending on the areas of practice. They sit in offices, they sit in conference rooms, they sit in meetings, they go attend courts, they go attend hearings, they appear themselves when they pass law. So it gives them a wide variety of experience. As an article clerk, you would be working with an experienced solicitor for at least 3 years. They would also have the opportunity of dealing with clients and other advocates. They observe behaviors of advocates, counsels, their clients, everyone. They learn from that. They know how to deal with them. They will learn from their seniors how they deal with other colleagues, other solicitors, how deals happen, how deals break, all that. So why vast experience you get. The article clerk, next page. The article clerk would gain practical experience by appearing in courts and tribunals. You gain theoretical knowledge by drafting various pleadings, legal documents, deeds, wills. Syllabus is wide and covers a litany of subjects. It requires an in-depth study in conjunction with practical knowledge, aiding them in their legal practice. This will assist them in giving advice to their clients when they start practicing. A student doing an internship would not get the same level of depth and practical experience in comparison to an article clerk. He will pass law, he will join some lawyer for a couple of years, but he will not get so much experience. An article clerk, having cleared the exam, can file their wakalatnama as an advocate on record in Supreme Court of India without having to pass the advocate on record examination conducted by Supreme Court. So I'll just explain this small part. When you want to practice in Supreme Court as an advocate on record, you have to give an exam there. But if you have given an exam as a solicitor and you have passed and you are a qualified solicitor, you are treated as an advocate on record and you don't have to give that exam again. You just have to give a certificate and they will enroll you as an advocate on record. So our training is that intensive. So we have, at present, we have 1,100 solicitors. Sorry. Sorry. So about 100 students appear. About 100 students appear now. Though being a small organization, along with the Bombay Bar Association and the Advocates Association of Western India. We are recognized by the Bombay High Court as one of the associations in the court. This is a big recognition because other associations are not recognized like us. So we also interact in courts on behalf of the solicitors. Sorry, I lost my voice a little bit at the end. Thank you very much. Sorry, but thank you so much. I hope I am able to explain you what is solicitors and what is the Bombay Incorporated Law Society.
That's very true, and also thank you. Bombay Incorporated Law Society, that's very interesting, and it was started by Nilesh sir. So when I was appearing for these examinations, Nilesh sir made it a point to have training sessions for article clerks who are appearing for these examinations, where he in depth gave us tips and tricks to pass these exams, and those tips were very useful for me as a young article clerk. So I should really thank him for that. I never thanked him in person for that. So I'm taking this opportunity to thank him for that. And also, if any of the participants have any questions, please feel free to put the questions in the question box, or you can also kind of unmute yourself and ask those questions if that's permitted, Niyati. Yeah.
Yes, that's permitted. They can raise their hand and we give them the permission to speak.
Yes. Because this is a very good opportunity to ask Nilesh sir all these questions, because he has been actively involved with the society, and every time he takes active measures to make sure that article clerks are taken care of by the society. I can never forget his contribution in arranging these sessions for us, where qualified solicitors used to come and tell us how to prepare for these exams. And I am also very indebted to the society, because I think because of the society, I am a better lawyer. And one more thing I have to thank the society for: the society is actively involved in in a lot of welfare activities and a lot of representations for the entire legal community. They keep on making representation to the Bombay Bar Association. They keep on making representations to the bench, which are for the benefit of every practicing lawyer. So that is one of the most significant contributions of the society. Also, one more thing that I would like to point out is that your existing curriculum might have a lot of gaps in terms of knowledge. The society gives the article clerks an experience of a lifetime, I must say, because when you are with a law firm for 3 years, you learn a lot. And even if tomorrow you leave the profession and join the industry, suppose tomorrow you say that I want to become employed with a company, I want to move in-house, that learning will still help you if you join the industry also. So that is a contribution of the society, and I am also very thankful to Mr. Modi for being so proactive. And also, there's one more plus point of the society which Mr. Modi didn't cover in his presentation: are the networking opportunities and the once in a year parties that we get to attend in really nice locations. So yes, does anybody have any questions?
Ananya, I think we can take the Q&A after the...
Also, I think Khushi has raised her hand. Khushi Bhatia and Namrata Jain have... okay, we have 3 hands up. So quickly, if we can take these questions. Can we take... okay, I'm going to... Namrata has asked a question. Can we take leave during articleship? As we have to deal with exams and other competition? According to so my answer to this would be yes. Of course, Nilesh sir can also take it up, but yes, that understanding is between your master and you.
Correct. What you say is correct. Yes, you are working under the solicitor. So normally you make an application that you want leave for exams. And I'm sure that no solicitor will deny you that leave if you're going for exams.
Right.
They always encourage that you study and pass your exams. So always you get leave. There is no difficulty. But normally for your studies for solicitors, you will need at least 6 months studies, rigorous studies. So that study leave is after you complete the articles. So once you complete articles, then you take leave, and that is an unpaid leave, which the solicitor might give you for 3 months, 6 months, whatever, depending on what is your need. But they do give.
Sorry.
No, they do give leave, so there is no difficulty.
Second question is, sir, can you please explain how an article clerk is different from a legal intern? Utkarsh, this sir has already covered, but if sir wants to repeat his answer, he can, but he's already covered. I'll just, in brief, just explain it. You have to be an article clerk for 3 years, and that 3-year period is a continuous period. That is how, and you have to sign your articles and submit them with the society. That is the difference between an article clerk and an intern. So if sir could add something.
Yes. So like Ananya said, that you have, once you sign an article, is a contract between the master and you, that you are going to be bound and you learn from him for 3 years. So you really cannot get out of that. But as an intern, you may work for some time, you may leave, you may go to some other firm. Internship is also sometimes very short, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. The internship periods are short. This is a large period of 3 years. And your aim is to pass the exam and become a solicitor. So your training is much more than an intern in a firm. If you are an intern, they will treat you as an assistant. Okay, go do this job, go do that. But if you're an article clerk, the master will teach you, because he wants to see that you pass the exam and you work with him like a solicitor. You will be his colleague. That is the difference.
It's a matter of pride for the masters to make sure that you clear, because
Yes.
solicitors take great pride that my article clerk has become a solicitor. So
Correct.
it is a matter of great pride. So they invest a lot more time in that, as
Yes.
rightly pointed out. Anvesha has a very interesting question. She asks, one solicitor can endorse how many article clerks? Qualities required to becoming an article clerk. So correct me if I'm wrong, sir. I think the answer is 4. And the qualities. Yes. No, one solicitor can take 4 article clerks.
Three.
3 article clerks.
Actually 2 articles.
2 articles.
But the 2 article clerks, but with the leave of the president, a 3rd article, 3 at max.
Right. And
so that
sorry.
Leave has to be taken for the 3rd one.
Leave had to be taken.
But otherwise 2.
Okay. And qualities required for being an article clerk?
There is no quality. You should be a good student. That's all. You should have the what you call is urge to learn, passion and urge to learn, and become a solicitor.
Yes.
Your goal has to be to become a solicitor. That's all.
Right. Otherwise, right. The perfect answer, sir. Then Sandeep Jha has asked a very interesting question. He asks if a person has 5+ years of experience in litigation, still he has to undergo article clerkship for 3 years.
Yes, that's compulsory.
That's compulsory.
Because that's what is mentioned in our bylaws, in the memorandum and articles of association. So that's required. That's the whole object of the society.
Thank you. Since we have to hear all our other speakers, and I see a couple of hands raised, please put your question. We can take it after the session.
After
yes.
the session, yeah.
So now I have a very exciting speaker, Mr. Sharad Abhyankar. However, how much soever I speak about Sharad sir, it's less, because he's always supported us and he's always supported CTC. And when I brainstormed about the session with him, he was very excited and he said that he wants to educate us about the advantages of being a solicitor, and he also wants to share with us his journey as a solicitor. And may I point out that he's a partner in Khaitan and Company, which is a top tier law firm, and he has a vast experience in M&A deals, in corporate advisories, and he has some really big clients under his belt. So, without further ado, I really want to hear about Sharad sir's journey as a solicitor, as an article clerk, and as a solicitor. And he will also tell us why should we opt for these exams. So, over to you.
Sure. Thank you, Ananya. So I think Nilesh Bhai has already mentioned the sort of critical advantage that an article clerk will have and what the solicitor's qualification gains. I want to share a couple of things. While Nilesh Bhai is a third generation, I must tell you that I am a first generation professional, and that should also give all those who are sort of concerned whether law profession is really for first generation. The answer is yes, and I can assure you that there are several first generation professionals who have made a very successful practice. So if you are that student who has that apprehension that can I become a successful lawyer if I'm a first generation professional, the answer is yes. It will ultimately depend on entirely on your willingness to learn, and how much one learns really depends on your ability and not really the person who is imparting that knowledge. So with that, I want to just share a couple of things apart from being a first generation. I think I was very lucky. I was extremely fortunate to have encountered company law during my graduation, even before I joined government law college. While I and Nilesh Bhai qualified together in the same year, I had almost made up my mind that all that I want to do in legal practice is company law. Not many people are so lucky, and I must tell you that it was really a divine event that must have happened to get a phenomenally excellent teacher in company law during my graduation, and I thought that I had found my forte. Now, obviously, at that stage, I had no clue what practice of company law means. Even after joining law college, the only advantage was everybody knew about solicitor's exam and that this is a super specialization in company law, taxation, and property law. In my days, it used to be 5 papers, not 6 papers. But I must also share the reason why that 6 paper came in. As we look at articles appearing for the exams, we realize that sometimes it's quite likely that you forget or you are infested by that imperfect recollection of law that you studied in during your LLB days, and therefore it was more of sort of a refreshment of the basic law like law of contract and special contracts. I think the Law Society thought it fit to give you that refresher course, which is very essential because again these are all very basic principles which help ultimately in your practice. So while I was determined to do my solicitors as an exam, obviously I was looking for who is going to sign articles with me. I think my professors in law college were extremely supportive. Many of them were solicitors, and that probably added an advantage that we never had the issue as to whom to approach. While the law firms were actively publicizing their requirements for article clerks, I personally I approached just my professors, and they were very supportive. And let me tell you what made the difference. So I had the occasion to approach Professor Pitawala and Professor Daruwala, and ultimately I joined Professor Daruwala as article clerk. Now I told you that company law was my first love, but Professor Daruwala was an internationally acclaimed IPR lawyer. So this was a caution that Professor Pitawala had already told me that he doesn't practice company law. Are you still okay doing signing articles with him? I said, okay, ultimately I'm going to learn law. So I have to complete articles and it will be only added advantage if I can also, add IPR to my legal knowledge and specialization. So as it turned out, I was very lucky to get professors, and because he was my professor, everything that he worked with me was more like a teacher. It was literally, बोलते हैं उंगली पकड़ के सिखाया. When a draft goes wrong, he will not scold. He will say, all this is wrong. But sit down. I'm going to draft this all over again from scratch. And you have to not just listen to it. Once the draft is typed, you will then sit with me and tell me what were the errors that you probably have committed in drafting it. And I will assess you simultaneously and then tell you what you did not guess correctly. So it was, we probably had a lot of time. I must confess that there was not so much of a pressure of transactions that you encounter today. But I think spending that quality time with your master is very crucial. You do not get any better opportunity to shadow your senior other than articleship. That's a very, you are virtually trying to sort of follow the senior everywhere, right from the client meetings to dictation, how he is particularly analyzing legal principles, facts, what could be the weak links, what could be the strong points, how are you going to place it before the court. And in a way, I was lucky that Professor Darawala was also an eminent counsel. So, when it came to drafting, he could teach the very fine aspects of drafting, and at the same time, how he would place it before the court. So I think that was a great combination to have a senior. Uh, so one thing, what Ananya, you said, that everybody takes pride that your article qualifies. So I must share what he told me when I joined. He said, number one, this exam, I'm happy that you want to sign articles, but I'm going to test you. Like all law firms take, everyone on probation. I was on probation for 3 months. So post that, he said, okay, now we will, let's sign articles. But before we sign articles, I must tell you that there are two types of article clerks that I had in my career. One, those who do not appear for the exam and just run away. Run away as in they are scared to face that examination and then they decide never to appear. The second category is who appear rank in the examination. Now you decide which side of the articleship you want to be, but I am happy to sign articles. As luck would have it, and I must share that this is purely relative performance at a particular attempt. Without belittling that rank, I must tell you that this examination prepares you for life. I think that 6 months study leave, you will never ever get the opportunity to say, "Ja beta, tu padhai kar le." For 6 months, you have no pressure of deliverables, you have no pressure of revenue, you have no pressure of billing. Go and study. And study what? Study so intense that when you come out, and I think another thing that help, I want to just tell people who want to prepare for the exams, this is not your certificate of practice, right? You already have that. You are a qualified advocate and you are entitled to practice anywhere in India. So nobody is taking it away, regardless of the number of attempts that you make at solicitor's exam. But this syllabus and the intricacies are so vast that, first of all, this is not a memory test. I think one very critical distinction between a typical university type of examination and solicitor's exam is that this is applied law. So even when you are studying, I think it tests for yourself whether your brain wiring is going right, whether you have that legal acumen. So it is really the test of legal acumen rather than memory. What Nilesh Bhai, I don't know whether that's still continuing, but the General Acts examination is expected to be an open book exam. Okay. Now that's a trick. Okay, don't get fooled by that. Open book exam does not give you time to actually open the book and look for the answer. You are supposed to know that upfront. If at all you want to just look for a particular subclause, whether you got the wording correct. But I don't think really the time permits you to really think of that. You have to be perfect in your preparation. Purely from an academic preparation for the exam, I must also tell you I was lucky, and I think somebody had put that question that can you sign articles after LLB? I myself signed articles post my third year. So I did it after I was qualified as an advocate. So can surely there is no bar. In fact, some of the articles who worked with me at Little and Company way back in 90s, they were very seasoned practitioners of law, and thereafter they decided to sign articles, and they became very successful solicitors and partners of top tier law firms. So the age is really no bar. I think we have had illustrious professionals who qualified at all ages. So age is not a bar. Uh, so coming back to the examination, I since I was doing it luckily after my third year, and I had 2 years, I simultaneously did my LLM with corporate law. What that did is, in those days there were only 5 papers, and tax and company law was one of the strongmost papers. I had completed intensive reading of international company law and direct taxation. I was luckily working as a tax practitioner for during my LLB, so that probably helped. So I was mentally prepared for taking an exam. At least 2 out of 5 papers, I thought I was may not be 100% ready, but at least I was 50%, and then I had to concentrate only on the other 3 papers when I started my study leave. I must also share a very tragic experience while studying. That I started with one of the most dry subjects, and I almost lost patience. And I told my father, Anna, I don't think I'm going to make this. Okay, I'm reading this subject for 2 weeks. Just nothing is getting registered. So my father gave me a lovely advice. He said, okay, it's a weekend. Just go, don't touch your book. Go for a movie, go for a walk. Don't think about law or your curriculum or your exam. Just take 2 days off, come back and start with the subject that you love the most. And it did the trick. So I can tell you that, studying continuously for 6 months is going to be a patience game. It is your perseverance. It is not every law that you read necessarily you like or you mentally relate to. But that doesn't have to dishearten you. Just switch to something more interesting, and it will automatically come back to you to say that I need to excel in this examination. Now, what does that mean? I have to be ready to be tested professionally, exactly in the same manner as the client would test me every day. So, since this is not your qualifying examination, you have to bear in mind that you know what you know and you know what you don't know. But your preparation has to be so excellent that if you are tested on the subjects or the topics that you know, you have to be superlative. I think that's really the mental preparedness that you would expect for this examination. And it is not that, oh, what will happen if I don't pass in my first attempt? So that should never be the pressure, because this is not certificate of practice. Now coming to the recognition, I think what it gave me, as Nilesh bhai also said, it gives you immense confidence to face the world, that now that I have read such a vast syllabus, I know where most of the solutions will lie, and I can locate them as a professional. I think that is something which is clearly missing during LLB. You study only academically, and you are not really approaching the solutions. So here, because the exam also is oriented towards finding solutions, it is nothing but practicing law. And to that extent, I think therefore there is no need to be scared. Now, surely we all have opinions and opinions, and your opinion has to be the most nearmost to the correct position in law. That's all it means. And therefore, if you are mentally off that stress, that, oh my God, it's, you are no more school kids, you are practicing professionals. So there is no need to have that academic pressure to say that, oh my God, this is such a tough exam. Of course, it is a tough exam. There's no doubt about that. I think we have to take it in our own stride to say that, okay, I must excel. And what is it that I will need to do for excelling? Another very small tip, and this is purely like a student-like tip, that there is a very limited time you have to write the paper. This is not online, and you have to write your papers, which means your physical ability to write fast will come very handy. And therefore, while you are studying, you have to practice writing all the time throughout 6 months, because that's the only way you are going to be able to write. You can't pour. Just think of a topic like proxy. The section runs into 1.5 pages. How are you going to write a 2-mark short note on proxy in 5 minutes? You can't even write full section. Therefore, think of approaching such questions more in bullet point form. What the examiner will look for is what is it that you are able to demonstrate as an additional, that value add as a professional skill, and that's where you get credit as a solicitor and beyond just being an advocate. Everybody would have read the law. Just for a different example, that during an arbitration, suddenly it's going on before a sole arbitrator, it's partly heard, and the arbitrator suddenly passes away. Now, probably the Arbitration Act would give you 5 different ways of reconstituting that tribunal. But if you say that there are 5 ways of doing it, but I would recommend route 2 or route 3, I think that's where it distinguishes an advocate and a solicitor. So whether with what you are recommending is an appropriate remedy. So in practice, industry gives you recognition, the profession gives you recognition, the courts give you recognition, and of course, it means a lot of financial credits. Somebody asked a question that as a counsel, and I'm sure our colleague will certainly talk about that. But in Bombay High Court, as Nilesh Bhai would also endorse, there are several counsels who are also qualified solicitors, and I'm sure they would endorse the view that qualifying this exam was worth every penny and every minute of their effort. So with that, let me just pause here. I think we have one more speaker to share her experiences.
Thank you so much once again. This was actually very enlightening, and it also brought back my memories of, preparing for the exams and, getting all stressed and all of that. And your tips were absolutely on point, especially when you said that we should practice writing fast, especially when you said that we should not worry so much about the exam because we have qualified. And I think that's a very, very important tip. And thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. And now, without any further ado, we will take up questions after Shivani's sessions. So please stay back, attendees, please stay back. And without any further ado, I would hand the session over to Shivani. But before I do, I'll just do a very quick introduction of Shivani. As Sharad pointed out, Shivani is a counsel in the Bombay High Court. Shivani is a dual qualified solicitor. That means she is qualified with BILS. She's qualified in the UK. She's admitted to bar in the UK. So it is actually very interesting to kind of take her perspective also. And one more thing I would like to point out about Shivani. On a personal note, Shivani and I qualified the solicitor exams together. We both cleared together, and since then I've been following, and we were in the same firm. And with Shivani's always been onwards and upwards. She's done fabulously well, and yes, and I would love everybody to hear about her journey as well. And also, Shivani, one thing which I would also like to personally ask is, how did preparing for the Incorporated Law Society exam help you in your other exams, if it has? And also, one more thing that I would also like to ask you is that what are the key differences and what are the learnings? Since we have Mr. Modi on the panel, what are the learnings that we can take from UK? So that is also I would love to hear your perspective. So please, Shivani, the floor is all yours.
You've been very kind. I'll firstly like to thank her for inviting me to speak. I'm very honored to share the virtual stage with Mr. Modi and Mr. Abhyankar, both such senior solicitors. I first do want to say that my process of being dual qualified was completely organic. I did not step out to be dual qualified or qualify in England. As a young student at Government Law College, I wanted to qualify as a solicitor. I interacted with senior solicitors. And as both Mr. Modi and Mr. Abhyankar said, the experience of qualifying for these exams, I was very knowledge driven, and I wanted to have that knowledge edge because I felt that if I qualify as a solicitor, my practice would be better. And that is 100% true. And yes, Ananya, to answer your question, I do believe that it is because I went through the 6 months of study leave where we study such vast topics in such a short span of time, and we learn as article clerks in firms. I think that does prepare you not just for a career in law, but also if anyone wants to qualify further, I think it's a great learning ground to go for further examinations as well. The process of solicitors, of course, now we know, we've heard Mr. Abhyankar and Mr. Modi both. The process of qualifying in the UK is slightly different, but the base is the same because we've inherited, of course, the common law system. So even in England, there is the solicitors and the barristers. And it is the solicitors who deal with clients, and it is the barristers who argue matters before court. And for me, I've always felt they're like two wheels of a motorcycle. One cannot function without the other. And I've sort of shifted both, and I shifted to counsel practice, and then I qualified to the bar. So I think it is only because I gave the solicitor exams that I could even think of preparing for QLTS. Both are tough exams in their own right.
Shivani, now I also wanted to hear about your being admitted to the bar in UK because
I think what's
actually
also
very exciting.
Since the topic was, I think, dual solicitorship, I'd just like to tell
Yes.
everyone, I'm hoping that most of the people are maybe preparing to be lawyers, because that would be the first requirement if you want to be a solicitor in the UK. The exam is currently called the Solicitor's Qualifying Examination. When I gave it, it was the Qualifying Lawyers Transfer Scheme, that's the QLTS. And there are two parts to this examination. One is a theoretical multiple choice question. The exam, when I gave it, lasted for 7 hours. Now it is 10 hours over 2 days, where there are topics of contract, tort, business law. There's also human rights. I gave my exam during pre-Brexit, so I had to study EU law as well. There's taxation, criminal law, and pretty much a whole wide array of subjects where there's a multiple choice question. And it's very practical based. They give 5 options, and out of that 3 would be correct. Just like as Mr. Abhyankar just shared, that the answers, there may be many correct answers, but which one is the most appropriate? And that is how the MCQs are also sort of framed for the examination. The second part of the examination is called the OSCE. It's the Objective Structured Clinical Exam. And that is, I think, what sets the English system a little different from the Indian system, is that there is a practical examination where senior solicitors would pretend to be clients and they would ask us questions. So for my exam, I was lucky enough to have wills and probate, which was a topic I was far more comfortable with. It was one of my favorite subjects, where a senior solicitor pretended to come with his aunt's will, and I had to advise him on what he could get, what he could not get, how much inheritance tax he would have to pay. That is a concept in UK. And likewise, there is an examination for advocacy, because solicitors in UK can appear before county courts, just like how now the sort of bifurcation between solicitor and counsel is becoming more gray. We have a lot of qualified solicitors also appearing in court. Solicitors in the UK also appear before county courts. It is only if you wish to appear in the higher courts of England that you would need to qualify as a barrister and jump ship. So essentially, both are very difficult examinations, and I am most honored to be a part of BILS because that has been my training ground and it's closest to my heart. And I think that is the only, both exams are difficult. I think, as Ananya had asked me to specifically say what was different between the two, I definitely feel both are very different, but also both are challenging, and challenging is a good thing. I think everyone should aspire, I hope, to give the solicitor examination in India, and if they want to, abroad as well, because challenges are good. It makes us better lawyers, right? And I think the question that you asked about barrister, that is a very different topic altogether. So in India, yes, now we have the Advocates Act, where once we clear the LLB, we have our degree of LLB. There is a bar exam now conducted by the AIBE. And then, of course, you can practice in any court. The system is different in the UK. This is vastly different because you cannot just appear in court after doing your LLB. First, you have to qualify as a lawyer. They have three phases to this. One is an academic part of it, which is your law degree. And then you have the vocational component, which is a specialized one-year course that you do where you learn specifically about advocacy. And then there is a pupillage component where up to a year you have to work under a barrister and you take training, just how we have articleship here. They have a one-year pupillage component, and it's very challenging also to get pupillage in the chambers in the UK. So this is how, and only after completing the stages can you appear in, say, the UK Supreme Court or the higher courts in England. If you don't do the pupillage component, I have not done my pupillage component, you can still appear in arbitration tribunals, in lower courts. That is automatic. But if you want to appear in the UK Supreme Court, then that would be a one-year training period that you would have to undertake. There are 4 inns of court. It's a very traditional system because earlier there were no colleges of law. This is something that has come about maybe in the 1300s or 1400s. Earlier, if you had to practice in court, it was a noble profession, you had to join an inns of court. There are 4 inns of court in England. The Inner Temple, the Middle Temple, which is my inn, Lincoln's Inn, and Gray's Inn. So if you have to be called to the bar, and being called to the bar is, you have to be called to the bar to be a barrister. Only these 4 inns can call you to the bar, and they conduct several qualifying sessions or dinners, as they call it. You have to go and you have to have dinner with several judges and practicing members of the bar. And that is a sort of examination. So they see if you're fit to be a barrister once you're attending those dinners. And that is essentially how, that is a process by which one can become a barrister in the UK.
Shivani,
Right.
This is a completely 270-degree shift in what I thought about the UK system, what you've just explained to me, and it's actually very difficult. Also, I want to know one more thing from you. Like, you are doing counsel practice, okay, and Bombay Incorporated Law Society, when I see, it is more oriented towards firm practice, was my opinion, but I am seeing a lot of counsels doing, a lot of people appearing for these exams and then doing counsel practice. And for the listeners, I would like to point out that counsel practice is a bit different because Shivani doesn't file her wakalatnama in the Bombay High Court. That is how the counsel practice, it's a traditional thing. She can file it if she chooses it to. You can't file it.
If it's on the original side of the Bombay High Court, you don't file wakalatnama.
Okay.
Yes, so I have, of course, now taken to counsel practice, so I don't file my wakalatnama.
Right. So, so of course, like as Sharad has already mentioned, Nilesh has already mentioned that, it gives you that confidence. But from a practical standpoint, I wanted to know that how has, would you recommend these exams for somebody aspiring to do litigation or somebody aspiring to do counsel practice? what are your views on this? If I want to know your perspective on this.
I truly think that I have benefited the most from giving the solicitor's exam in Bombay, organized by the BILS. Like I said, my process of becoming a barrister or joining counsel practice or even qualifying in the UK has been very organic, very step by step, because at that time, there were not many people I could speak to who had probably taken this career graph. I started out simply wanting to practice in a law firm as a solicitor. I am, like Mr. Abhyankar said, I'm also a first generation lawyer. I did not have a lot of people advising me on, what is the difference between a solicitor and a counsel. It was something that I discovered during my journey working at Kanga and Company as an article clerk. So I started off wanting to be knowledgeable. When a client comes to you, by instinct, you know exactly what law needs to be looked at. You know what book needs to be looked at. You know the judgments, because at least during my time, what I did was we studied the judgments passed in the last 3 years, and we make sure that we're up to date with the law. So I went to Kanga and Company with that in perspective, and it is there that I was exposed to the other side, which is counsels who, it's the same as barristers in the UK, who would argue before a judge and who focused completely on the law. So when we would brief counsels, they would just come up with strategies. They would come up with, they would just have this black book full of case laws that they refer to. And I was very intrigued by it. I also wanted a little black notebook where I had cases and I knew in which direction a matter was going. So it was with that intention that I initially, of course, signed my articles. And to be very honest, while I was in my third year of articleship, I had already wanted to become a counsel, but I didn't want to stop my process midway. And I'm very glad that I didn't. I went on to give the exam. And before I approached counsels to join chambers, I worked at Crawford Bailey and kept practicing as a solicitor. And that is when I qualified in the UK. And I truly believe that knowledge never goes to waste. It is what makes you a good lawyer. So I do feel, yes, it is the harder route, it may be the longer route, but even if you're looking to join counsel practice, if you want to qualify as a solicitor first, it is only going to benefit, although it is a little longer and more difficult route.
It is definitely longer, but totally worth it, because that, as you rightly pointed out, the knowledge doesn't go waste. And it's
So,
actually.
I just want to share that at least 2 students who met me, whether they should do solicitors or they should not. So I had not spent more than maybe 1 hour with them, explaining to them what the qualification and what the sort of academic and non-academic advantages are. They both qualified, and when they came to give me those our trademark Bombay Law Society paid us, they told me that, and both of them told me this is they pass in different times, and they said but for you that conversation with you for 1 hour, we were not sure whether we should do solicitors. Having qualified, I can certainly say that every minute was worth it. The exam was worth it, and passing was surely worth that thought that I should do that exam. And but for your conviction, for that 1 hour, spending 1 hour with me to say that this is how you plan your journey as a solicitor, that's what made a career change for them. So I just wanted to share that. Nothing to boast on my skills, but that those who have undergone that training, I think, have really enjoyed the journey and the destination both.
Yeah, I would also like to add, there are these counsels who have passed solicitors. If you ask them also, they will tell you that their knowledge is also much vaster than other who are counsels, because counsel practice does give you a lot of experience speaking and in litigation arguing. They learn from their seniors. They learn on the basis of what briefs they get. But at times when they have passed solicitors exam, and if they get some matters which where the subjects which are covered by the exams of solicitors are there, they are very sure that what is the answer. They don't have to go hunting around to look for what is the law about this, what is it, not understanding. Particularly now, for example, there's a lot of development going around in Bombay. If there is any litigation related to development, how to read the plans, how to read the permissions, sanctions, what comes after what are the regulations for development, all that is taught only when you are doing solicitors. Law doesn't teach you that. So as counsels, they do not have that much knowledge when they start. They get it when they get briefs from solicitors about these development projects, they start learning. And then solicitors are the one who brief them that, look, this is the regulation, this is the regulation, this is the law. At times when they are also preparing some arguments, they say, I'm going to argue this way. I've had that experience with several solicitors where they say, I'm going to argue this way. And I tell them, no, but this is not permissible under the Income Tax Act. It is not permissible under that act. And then say, oh my God, I thought that this was a correct argument. And then they say, oh, if it was not for you, I wouldn't have known. So that is the kind of knowledge that the solicitor's exam gives you. And to add to what Shivani said, that, the solicitor's exam in London has a different, my son is doing, so I know that there is a different method. You first have to give the exam. You have to get a contract for giving that exam from a solicitor's firm. So once you have the contract, then you give that exam, and then you have to do 2 years training. So it's the reverse. Here we have to do articles clerk first. You sign, you train yourself, and then give exam. There it's reverse. First you pass the exam. Then you have to do training for 2 years to gain that. Am I correct?
That is very true. In fact, when I gave the QLTS, Mr. Modi, there was just a 10-year waiver period where I did not have to do a training contract. And I think I just got very lucky. But now with the SQE, you need to work with a law firm in England for 2 years. But there is also a system where if you have received a similar vocational training in your own country, like India, you can make all those applications and to prove that yes, I have also worked here for 2 years. But yes, that's very true, Mr. Modi.
Okay. And as far as QLTS is concerned earlier, so in fact, if you were a solicitor in Bombay, then you just had to give 2 papers. One is the accounts and one is the professional ethics.
Yes,
and then you could qualify for that. You didn't have to give any other exams or do training.
I was drawn towards sort of a dual qualification, and I realized that's no longer the case. There are no exemptions. And although, to be fair, we have inherited so much of our law. When I read for the QLTS, Mr. Modi will know if he looks now at his son's books that he must be studying. We have the contract law is still the same. Torts, we still study those very case laws. So it's, as a lawyer, it's just a very interesting experience to see what was, the source of the law that we have today is so heavily inspired from Britain. So it's for an academic bent of mind, it's also very interesting.
Yeah. Sometimes when I discuss with him some matters that he is doing or he's studying or something, I say that, oh, it's the same here, not much difference. So I think overall I hope that everybody has got an idea of what solicitor's exam is and how it is different from just doing law. And I think many would think and aspire to be solicitors soon, I guess.
So now we can take up questions. Thank you, Shivani. Thank you, Nilesh sir. Thank you, Sharad sir. Now we can take up questions because we still have some time. And I would really recommend everybody should take full advantage of this session because we have professionals from varying perspectives. And I think that is very important for a young professional or a student, because sometimes I really wish I had attended these sessions to better understand how can I better my career. So yes. There's one question, very interesting question by Rahil Shah. What are some challenges associated with being a solicitor? Interesting question.
So I think it is your patience, it is perseverance, it is conviction that you want to make a good lawyer, I think there is nothing, no other challenge. Uh, I think all the law firms, to my mind, are giving a full paid study leave. So it's not really, uh, you should not be worried about how I'm going to spend those 6 months. Most of the law firms are clearly, respecting the employments, and they are paying for the leave period. Ultimately, we are here to learn the ethos and spirit of law than anything else. I think as we grow as better qualified, I think the clients are also looking for better advice than a quick fix. I think one clear change of thought from a client's perspective that has come about is that clients have realized that we need sustainable legal answers. Sustainability is not merely on the industry side. They need more, they need rational, they need not just justified answers, but something that will withstand the test of time and will make their organization stand in good stead, regardless of how they decided. So I think that longevity of decision making is something which the clients now look for, and rather than a quick fix. And I guess only the solicitors and seasoned professionals, knowledgeable professionals, will be able to offer that.
Another question which has been asked. Can any panelist share tips and strategy as to how to prepare for the article clerk's examination? Further, the focus should be more on case laws or provisions and concepts behind such provisions. As Actually, I would defer to Shivani, Nilesh sir, and Sharad sir to answer. But in my experience, I would really suggest that read as much as possible, because when you read the law, when you stay up to speed with the law, from what I have understood and my experience is that the society expects a lot of practical knowledge and a lot of practical experience. Some papers are so difficult to clear if you don't have that practical experience. So that practical experience is very important. So make sure that you tell your supervisor, whoever you've signed your articles with, to give you as much practical experience as possible. Second strategy that I would give any aspiring solicitor is to take it easy. Like Sharad sir mentioned that this is an add-on. You're already qualified as a lawyer. So just take it easy, read as much as you can, and focus on practical aspects is what I would like to say. But I would also want to hear what Nilesh sir, Sharad sir, and Shivani have to say about this.
So you want me to share something which I have been sharing with others? Okay. So to pass this exam, one is you need to concentrate. So leave aside all for 6 months, leave aside everything else. You just concentrate, have your focus only on the exam. That is first. Second thing is that you should have a interaction with your other colleagues who are giving this exam. You must, during your study period, meet them or talk to them, discuss various topics with them. What they have read, what you have read. If you discuss something that they have read, you have not read, you'll come to know. Something that you have read, they'll come to know. So it always helps in preparing for your exam, that so it's always nice to discuss with the persons who are your colleagues who are giving with you that exam. Is always to form a group of 2-3 people, meet, or discuss these points over a dinner or just a high tea or something like that. It will help you. The papers, as I said, are set by solicitors, corrected by solicitors, so they do not expect any nonsense. If you don't know the answer, don't write. But don't write crap, because if you write crap, they'll get upset and they'll give minus marks, or they will just be upset and not give you proper marks, even if your answer is right. Best, as Sharad has said, Write point-wise, be precise. Don't write long answers, don't write short answers. Be precise. What we want to know is, do you have knowledge of law? Can you implement a particular law? A problem is given to you. Do you have solutions for that? Can you answer that? So you need to know the basic law first. So read the basic law. Judgments and are only to support that. Judgment, the answers may be based on some judgments. Some solicitors may also frame questions on what they have been dealing with, some problem, or they have been dealing with some matter. It can be, it is possible. Judgments will help you enhance your answer, but your basic law first has to be correct. If your basic law is not correct, I'm sure you can't pass this exam. So that's my tips. If you don't know, don't just write anything. If you don't know the case law, you just say there is a case in which this happened. Don't mention some name which is incorrect, because the examiner will then waste time finding out that case law, which I have done. I was an examiner, and I was an examiner in income tax paper, and they would write some names, and I would keep searching, where is this? I have never read this kind of judgment. And then I find that this is just, they've just written some name. And that would really, I would get upset with that. Why are you wasting my time? So it's better not to write than to write something wrong. These are my tips for the preparation for the exam. Sharad, do you want to say? Yeah,
Sorry,
Shivani can say.
yeah.
I think
Shivani,
just to add to it, what Mr. Modi said, before I give my exam, I went with a little notebook to the solicitors of Kanga, and I was asking them any tips that you have. And a couple of tips really stuck with me. One is that you have to write the paper as a solicitor and not as a law student. So it's not just about writing a particular section. Okay, what is res judicata? You will just, sort of say, okay, section 11. But it's about how you would explain it to a client. And if you have a case law to support it, and I think that really shaped the way, not only how I wrote the paper, but also how I prepared for it. I studied the exam as if I could give advice on that particular topic. And I think that is why these exams differ from your Mumbai University law exam or, other law university exams, that it is not simply about this is the section and this is the judgment. It's about how would you apply that concept as a solicitor to a client. And it's not about, there's this concept in a law college that, a 10 marker, 4 sides, 4 sheets of paper. Definitely not the way to approach it. In fact, I have written just maybe 5 or 6 sentences for a 10 marker, and I scored well in the paper. So I know that is the right track to sort of go about it. It's how you explain the concept.
Thank you, Shivani, and thank you, Nilesh. This was very useful. And since we are ending the close of this session, if anybody has any questions, please reach out to CTC. We will, get in touch with all the speakers, and we'll try to answer your queries. That will be great. And I really look forward to another session again to kind of answer more questions that keep on coming, and that will be a very useful thing for the students also. And a bit over to Nishtha, I think, for the vote of thanks.
Yes, thank you, Ananya. So first and foremost, I would like to extend my gratitude to our esteemed speakers. Your expertise, your passion, and your knowledge has been very instrumental in making this a very enriching experience. Your insights have inspired us all to strive towards excellence in our own legal pursuits. Another special thank you to our participants. Thank you for being a part of this webinar. Your presence has added an immense value to this session. And I'm sure the knowledge gained here will be a solid foundation for you and your legal future. Lastly, I would like to express my gratitude to the Chamber of Tax Consultants for organizing and the organizing team behind the webinar for their tireless efforts for making this webinar possible. And Niyati ma'am had also given us an overview of the events conducted by CTC at the beginning of the webinar. So I hope to see all the participants there as well. Once again, thank you, Mr. Nilesh Modi, Mr. Sharad Abhyankar, and Ms. Shivani Srivastav for making this webinar possible. And we hope to host you all in the future as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you on behalf of the BILS. I'll thank also on behalf of BILS for inviting us, and it's an honor to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's an
Thank you.
absolute honor. Absolute honor.
Yeah, in fact, it's an honor for us for having all of you over and sparing your invaluable time. And so we really look forward to many more collaborations in future for the students. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much.